From the outside world, okay, depending on how you position it to get to that phase, people will look at it as brand. But really, the inside may be different. Yeah. For example, right, I'll use a prime example, right? Like one of my mentors at an early time, right? He used to run a bar, okay, in the 90s, right? So, in a really, really successful bar, and he would be like, yeah, you know, people from the outside world, they'll look in and they'll be like, man, like it seems simple, right, to run a bar, right? And a lot of times to get people to the bar, right, you gotta have like aesthetically pleasing bartenders, right? Okay, so what kind of bartender would you put in?
The hot girls.
The hot girls?
Yeah.
You would put hot girls in?
Oh, the bartender, I would put like a good-looking guy.
All depends, okay? So during his time, right, everyone else in that industry was putting hot chicks in the bar as a bartender. Well, the problem with having hot chicks as bartenders, guess what, is they're gonna get, what? Bunch of dudes that are coming in and dudes that are like clogging up the bar, right? And you know, the other girls don't want to see, you know, the overweight guy with the butt crack, you know, plumber butt crack and stuff like that, right? Okay, so versus you put the actual guy in there, a hot guy, then guess what? All the girls come, and when the girls come, the guys follow, right? But from the outside world, they look at that and be like, oh yeah, you know, it just seems simple. Just get a bar up in a not great location and put a bartender in and it makes money, right? So, so that's another one. And so again, you know, I think you asked the question, is branding part of it? Yeah, it's part of it, but it's other things, and you have to discover that, and that's the discovery part of knowing what your strength is like.
Going through all those phases.
Yeah, going through the phases, and when you get to that aggressive growth phase, you will find one where you have that leverage, and you know, other gurus call it the 80-20. Right, like you know, right. So it's to understand in the world of, you know, what people already know, right. So it's that 20% that gave you that 80%, but really, you know, if you can figure out the 20% that gave you that 80%, but then you look for that 80% and that 20%, and then you go another 80% of that other 20%. So now you're 3 levels deep, and that's what you're kind of looking for. And when you figure that out, boom, it takes off. And this is the kind of stuff that where people don't openly talk about. Like I'm part of different mastermind groups, and what they tell the story to the outside world, their narrative that they tell to the outside world to get business is completely different than what has typically happened internally. You know, because certain things they just cannot admit to, and or it's so proprietary that they don't want to teach anyone else. You know, so if you ever wondered, you bought a course or you bought a book and you're just like, why does it seem like something's missing in here? Or maybe there's not a whole truth to it, you know? I think it boils down to a lot of stuff, you know, like even in the mastermind groups I'm part of, some people are in there, I'm just like, man, y'all got some like characters where I don't want to hang out with you guys, you know, so, but they're smart people. Like, yeah, they're really, really smart, but I wouldn't want to hang out. So again, you know, is it shady? Is it brilliant, right? It's that borderline gray area where you start discovering in the business is not really black and white, you know? And you know, like mine is, I'm always like, the people like that know me, like, you know me, like, you know, like people ask questions, I just tell them like it is, you know, like, yeah. So he says, hey, I just do that, I did this, you know? So, and some people look at that as I say and be like, man, like that sounds like it was like you like manipulated the system a little bit. And then I'm just kind of like, well, you know, and I'm just like, that's kind of my strength, you know, yeah, to find the shortcut, you know, so.
Disruptive innovation or disruptive marketing, right?
Is it okay? Is it story time? I gotta tell stories?
Yeah.
Can I tell stories? We would be in like the kind of like I was in like the advanced, you know, the AP classes, right? The fact that I can just remember stuff and I can get stuff done. But then I would do just barely enough to get by. But then I discovered something on how to actually ace the test, right? I discovered a source where I can get answer to all the tests. Because the certain teachers never change the actual multiple choice test. Yeah. And the ones that actually do change it, they only have like 4 different copies of it. So if you have all 4 different copies of it, you know the answer to all the tests, right? So keep in mind, this is like advanced placement class, right? So what we ended up doing was contacting students that graduated the class like years before, and they would have copy of the test. So we ended up getting that and putting scanned copies, and we started actually creating that. Now, I won't say who it is, but you know, people started giving that out to the students. Not only that, but started selling it. Okay? Now, in the world of education, that is what?
Cheating.
Cheating, yeah. You're fucking cheating. You're working the fucking system. It's crooked. You should be, yeah, okay? Now, Now, in the world of business, right? People will be like, "Wow, you know, as long as you didn't really legitimately like steal someone's AIP or whatever, it's just like they'll be like, oh, that was a brilliant move. Took some out and you passed the test." So our class ended up doing that, and we got caught. Yeah, and the funny thing, and the only reason why we got caught is one of the girls that actually had it, because they would actually have it, and I don't know if people remember, you know, you can leave like water bottles on your desk, right? So you print it out on size 4 font or whatever with the answers on it, right? Or some of the other like students that had the answer, they'll actually write the answer on the desk and really lightly ahead of times, right? So, but the problem with her was not her approach on where the answers was. Her problem was she didn't understand market conditions. All right, here's what I mean by market condition, okay? These tests, you're supposed to take like the whole period, right? Like 60 minutes. Now, keep in mind, it's like a final, and then she turns it in 10 minutes. 10 minutes. Yeah, so, and then caught up, and then they started interviewing all the people, and then someone else took a fall for it, right? So, but the point is, you know, it's just, again, where was I going with this? I have no idea.
It's a shortcut.
Yeah, it's a shortcut. Yeah. So in business world, it's cheating. I mean, like in school, it's cheating. In business, it's like genius, right? Same thing. Yeah.
It's pay per click, right?
And even in business, like in school, right? It's you share information. You know, hey, look over your shoulder and be like, hey, you know, what's going on there? You know, can you help me out here? Right? That's cheating. In the business world, hey, you can pick up the phone and you call someone and be like, hey, man, I'm running into this challenge. Can you help me out? No, that's a mastermind group, right? Like, right? So the whole educational system is against you, and then that's where I tell people all the time is like earlier I said, right? There's two components to understanding, right? One is where you stand in business, right? Those 4 stages. And then the other one is where you stand, right? And that's what I call like the instinctive traits that people have.